Hi, welcome to Mondraker TV. We're here at the first round of the UCI World Cup in Fort William with the brand new Mondraker Factory Racing setup. Let's go and have a little tour through the pit, shall we? We'll check out what's going on inside. Come with me. For 2024, the Mondraker Factory Racing team is a brand new thing. We've been in racing for decades now, but this is all new. That's our first factory racing team, and we've got this incredible setup. So let's just have a little look along here, and we'll go on the inside, and I'll give you a bit of a tour. So we've got Ronan Dunn's winning bike there from Hardline. We've got one of the prototype summer race frames there. We'll talk about that. And of course, we've got the mechanical setups. Now this is super sick, because you've got individual mechanical setups for each mechanic that works on one rider's bike. So this setup here is for Brian Pinkerton. The next one along is for Dakota Norton, and the last one you can see in the corner here is for Ronan Dunn. They are our three factory riders. Now let's have a little snoop on the inside of some of these. I'll tell you what's going on in here. The bikes have got some seriously cool details on. As you can see, the pits themselves are absolutely massive. So we are in the pits of the Mondraker Factory Racing setup. This thing, as you probably gathered, is absolutely massive. So let's have a little peek in the inside here. The guys are actually out on course at the moment, so perfect opportunity to have a little snoop inside and see what goes on. So this is, I'd say this is nicer than most of my friends' homes. This is absolutely ridiculous in here. So this is where all the team planning happens, evening meals, team building, making the plans for the weekend. It all happens in here. They'll be analysing their runs on the screen, they'll be talking tactics, they'll be working with Pablo on the suspension of the bikes, all that sort of stuff. But you don't need to know about that in here. We can talk about that with the bikes out there. I want to show you the bunks in there where the crew actually stay, and then there's a garage at the back. Now the garage at the moment doesn't actually have any bikes in there, but it does look super cool. You have to imagine what this looks like when it's fully loaded. So in here are the bunks, and again, they're super spacious. There's so much room in here. Pretty sure this one's got a bathroom in here, full length shower in here. It's like it's actually ridiculously nice. And this is the garage. So you've got access to the rear. This is where the fleet of bikes will be stored, and you've got supplies. At the moment, obviously, there's more supplies out there in the pits where the mechanics are directly working on them. You've got exhaust, which is lubricants that the team use. You've got various cranks and components and tyres, all the spare parts that you need for a World Cup race. Let's have a little peek in this tool chest here. This is the sort of stuff I love. I mean, you've got sate shifters, rear derailleurs, brake rotors. I mean, you can open this and you've just got the spare parts that they need to get through a race and through a season for every eventuality. Obviously, when you go to races, you've got all the big motor owners from Fox and SRAM and all the other brands, but it's really important to have their own equipment here. I mean, this was Fox. You've got volume spaces in here, X2 volume spaces, shock bodies, so much cool stuff. Right, let's get outside and we'll have a little look around the actual mechanic setups, because they've got some, I've just remembered. There's little catches in there. This thing is a very cool place, but I respect it, especially when no one's happy. All the space, see the sponsors on the side of the truck. One off Ergov, Exhaust, Parts of Shimano, E13, Flux, Maxis, proper coffee as well. Piece of sounds, and then we've got a little exhibition area at the back here. So of course we have Ronan Dunn's winning bike from Hardline parked up here, which is getting a lot of attention, as you'd imagine, because not only is it his bike and it's won a race. Look at the thing. It looks better in the flesh than it will. Looking at it, it is incredible. You should be here actually. If you have the chance to come to one of the World Cups and see this kit in the flesh, do it, because it's seriously exciting to be here. I've got to say, this is the one that's getting all the attention at the moment. So each of our team riders are running one of these frames. Now the frame is a complete working prototype. Everything on this is adjustable. This is not how a production bike is ever going to be. There's so much adjustment here, but we've got proper race technicians. We've got Pablo heading up the race tech here. And as a result, we have a bike that's got adjustable reach on there, adjustable head angle on there. The progression of the shock can be adjusted from low, middle and high, so you can adjust the feeling of the rear end of the bike. The bottom bracket cluster can be adjusted up and down to change that independently of the head angle. You've got adjustable chainstay length, and then on the rear, you've got 3 bridges that can change the stiffness on the rear end of the bike. Some courses are going to require more stiffness, perhaps they've got really violent berms or they need to pedal harder in order for the bike to feel more efficient. Other courses like this one, absolutely brutal. They need to be able to thread the bike through things. So the fine tuning of the bike is the characteristic of what they're all looking at. I'll tell you a little bit about each of the bikes as we get there. Now behind here is a massage table, a bit of a privacy area for the riders to have some treatment, a bit of a gym setup in there as well. And we've got where the team sit down and have some food, nourishment, and it's all behind the scenes. So the whole point of the setup is to give the riders all the support they need and some space. Because sometimes they come up the hill, they're extremely focused and they need to unwind and basically just digest what they've just done. But let's move into each of the booths and have a look through the mechanical setups and some of the bikes. So this is Ronan's dedicated area where he is looked after by his own mechanic, Sergio. And as you can see, it's immaculate here. This is right up my stream. First thing I want to look at is the toolbox. You can tell a lot about a man by his toolbox, right? And this is absolutely immaculate. I'm not even going to touch this because Sergio's got picky about his toolbox, but there's a few things in particular in here that I love. It's got the Radar Labs syringes. These things are incredible. You've got to check these out. Each syringe, the plunger rod on them, you've got locks on them, and you've got measurements on both those and the actual chamber on the outside. Really cool stuff. It's got a series of marker pens so you can make markings on the bike for specific things like the brake lever angle, so he knows the reference point is always the same. So many cool trick things. Let's have a look at one of Ronan's bikes. So he's got 2 bikes here at the moment. The other one he's actually out on course. This one's actually having some products worked on at the moment, so it's not a complete bike. As I said, the racers all have the same frame and completely different settings. So at the moment I can see, well, in fact the bike's been rebuilt, there's no shock on there, so it hasn't actually got the bridges on the back. I know that he's just running the middle bridge for Fort William here at the moment. He likes the middle setting in terms of progression. He's got the longer setting for the chainstay there. And up front here, I mean, I don't even know what setting he's in at the moment. There's a lot of things we're not really supposed to talk about because that's a mechanic's best sort of personal thing. 40mm bars, so he's running at 780, and he's got 1 10mm spacer on the underneath and a 6mm spacer on the top there. And Ronan likes his brake limits with grip tape, just around there. Let's move along. Let's see what we can see in that time. So that's completely different. Okay, well, everyone wants to know, don't they? 75mm rise is what Dak is running on here right now. I've got some of his prototype bars in the 50mm rise, and it's taken me ages to try and get used to them, both in the visual looks and how they feel. I get where he's coming from, but this guy is so tuned in to the ride of his bikes, and unlike the other racers, his relationship with his mechanic is a little bit different. So you might notice behind me, you've got turbo trainer bikes and stuff set up there. Well, I've noticed that Dak is on a turbo trainer and he'll be talking to his mechanic about the bike and specific things. He's seriously clued up. In fact, I had a conversation with him, and when he was riding as a privateer, he actually used to lace up his own wheels and do all his own suspension work on his bikes. So he has a very different relationship with his mechanic. But underneath this 75mm rise bar, I can see a 6mm spacer currently beneath the stem and 2 10mm spacers below the fork upper crown there. And it looks like he's running his bike in the longest setting here. Now the head tube of these bikes, as I explained, is to adjust the head angle and the reach of the bike, and it's essentially so the riders can get the best possible fit that suits them. We've built a bike that we can work around our riders, not having the riders have to get on a bike and get used to the bike. This is all about optimising performance, what they want. And hey, a lot of people have commented on these bars saying they look a bit funky, but hey, it works for Dak, doesn't it? They look incredible. And the same sort of setup over here, not quite so toolbox wars, I've got to say, over here on this setup, but equally as neat and tidy. The little part tool mat, of course, same part tool toolbox I've got home. I love these things. Full of cool stuff, and also enough pair of Knippets hiding in there. Very nice stuff. Right, if you're going to have a look at Dinky's bike. So the mechanics won't tell me the specifics, or they won't allow me to know the specifics, but as you can see here, his reach settings different from Dak's. His is slightly shorter there. Also notice he's running in the middle setting here on progression, whereas Dak is running on the lower one. So that suggests that he likes his suspension to have a little less leverage on there, or less progression. I know that Dak, he tends to run his bikes very soft with loads of damping, whereas both Ronan and Ryan like their bikes to feel a little bit more reactive. And I think you can see that in the way that they ride. They like to spring around on the track. Ronan's is firmer though. I think that way you can tell he just smashes into stuff as well. So they have got different characteristics with the way they ride between them. Now, something I've noticed on the handlebars here on Ryan's bike, which I've not noticed and I don't know how, is he's a middle finger braker, like Steve Jones used to be, and he runs his Shimano brake levers right against the grip. Now, if I use Shimano ones, I reckon there's a gap of about an inch between my brake lever clamp and the actual grip. So, I mean, again, it works for him. So that just feels so alien to me to have him like this. You won't tell from this angle as well, but his brake levers are nearly completely flat when the bike is down at the stand. And I'm sure the riders do change these from course to course, but completely different from Dak, who's all the way down at the front. But yeah, same frame, same components, completely different setup. Right, that was a quick tour of the Mondraker Factory Racing pit setup. Pretty lucky to be here right now because the racers are out on the course. I think they're coming back any minute, so I'm going to get out of here where I'm probably not going to be that welcome. Give them their space back. Let us know what you'd like to see in the next video on Mondraker TV, and if you've got any questions about the particular setups, I will be able to do a more detailed video on the bikes after Fort William, because this is all about the first race of the year and getting everything settled in. And well, there's a lot of tension around it, but for now, I'm out of here. Catch you later, dudes.